Welcome to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Matt Lowry, and if this is your first year playing fantasy football, or if you've been playing for years, we are here to help bring you to a championship. Joining me are 20-year fantasy football veterans, the Commish Henry Brick and the Professor Steve Wynn. Together, we're going to take you around the NFL for the latest news and injuries. We're going to cover the draft. This is the draft special, which is a 2-week draft show, a 2-hour draft show. Joining me are 20-year fantasy football veterans Henry Brick and Steve Wynn. Guys, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. We got a lot to talk about today. Drafts are going on all around the country. We have a 2-hour special today just to cover all that and more here on today's program.
All right. Hey, and make sure you check out our website. We got lots of great draft tools up there with your draft coming up. Check out the website. It's kickassfantasyfootball.com for all your fantasy football information. We got articles on everything covering the top guys to cover, to take in your draft, guys to stay away from, guys who are drafting too high and too low. And let's face it, the biggest thing is that projection system. You can punch in your scoring system, and we will tell you who to take in what order to have a truly kick-ass season. Professor?
We had a great draft last night. A lot of fun. 12 talented guys. We had some interesting picks, and I can't wait to talk about it. I am really into the fantasy football season now.
That's right. We had our staff draft last night. We'll be covering that and who took who where and who did what right. But if your draft is coming up, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776 with any questions for the guys. They will help you with your draft, keeper leagues, dynasty leagues, whatever you got going on. Let's face it, it is draft time, and it's time to get real serious and make sure, hey, if you haven't done your research, you don't know exactly what's going on, this is where it's going to lose you money. Talk to these guys. They definitely have it going. And, Commish, what's the best day of the year?
Draft day.
That's right. All right, guys, let's cover some of the news first before we get into our draft from last night and break that down. Steve Smith, my boy from Carolina, is on crutches because of a staph infection, Commish.
Yeah, it looks like he will not be playing tonight versus the Jets with the ailing foot infection. However, they do expect him to be ready for week 1.
Okay, and then we have David DeCastro, the guard for the Steelers, is out for the season, Professor.
Yeah, this hurts the run game more than anything. It does hurt the passing game a little bit. The guy was highly touted as a solid lineman this year, and with all the injuries that they've got on the in the backfield, Mendenhall, Redmond, you have to start thinking about staying away from the Steelers.
You got to ask. I mean, is there any good news for the Steelers right now? I mean, it has been all bad, hasn't it?
Yeah, they're looking like like they've got some dark clouds hanging over that team. So, you have to hope that they'll turn it around. But for your draft, stay away.
Okay. David Wilson was very impressive Friday night as the Bears beat the Giants. Commish, what do we think of him?
5 carries, 49 yards. He caught 2 passes for 26. He played for the often injured Ahmad Bradshaw, who was out with a hand injury. How soon will he take over the starting position? I say by week 4 or 5.
Oh, come on, Commish. The list of preseason heroes in the NFL is long, and a lot of these guys do not break in. I do like Wilson as a complimentary back, but taking over the starting job from Ahmad Bradshaw after his year last year, bit of a stretch.
Hey, there's a reason why they drafted him number 1 overall. They're tired of Bradshaw's
you do have to say, when you draft someone in the first round, do you do that when you believe you have the guy already? I mean...
Well, they let Brandon Jacobs go. Wilson is the new complimentary back. He can grow into the role.
Okay. And then Nick Foles and Russell Wilson both looked very impressive with Vic and Flynn both out. Professor?
Well, in Foles' case, he's not going to be the Eagles starter this year. He does look good, though, and who knows who will come to the Eagles and trade a couple second-round picks for Foles next year, because that's the Eagles' MO. Send away A.J. Feely, send away Kevin Cobb, get draft picks, and the guys implode on the other side. However, Russell Wilson, love this one, was talking about him a few weeks ago. Looks like he is in the driver's seat to win that starting job in Seattle after Matt Flynn, the big free agent pickup at quarterback this year, is not winning the job. And Wilson is talented. I wrote in one of our articles this week that he is a great late-round flyer. Except for RG3, he is the best chance you've got to get this year's Cam Newton.
Okay, wow. Now that's some praise there. Okay, and the Kenny Britt decision on suspension should come down by the end of the month, Commish?
Yeah, that's when the 53-man roster cutoff is supposed to happen. Perfect timing for the Titans to make their decision on whether they actually keep Britt around. It looks like Nate Washington and Kendall Wright look very good this preseason, especially because Chris Johnson seems to have his head back on his shoulders again.
All right, and Raiders defensive end Dave Tolfson drove Matt Stafford into the ground and hurt his non-throwing hand. What's going on there?
Matt Stafford's one of those guys. He's got a bit of an injury history. This doesn't look like it's anything that's going to impact the season, but it's one of those things that makes you a little cautious when looking at the Lions. They are a world beater with him in the game.
X-rays were negative, by the way, Professor.
Oh, yeah. No, he'll play, but he's just one of those guys you have to worry about.
Okay, but Kevin Smith, the running back, was also injured there, Commish.
This is just an ongoing saga, unfortunately, for Kevin Smith, who when he is healthy, he is a stud, but he did limp off the field. They wrapped the ankle very tightly. He did jog out of the dressing room, but did not play the rest of the night.
Okay. Yeah, the Lions' backfield is a mess as far as injuries go. Michael LaSure, I guess, would have to be the number one beneficiary. He becomes a very attractive late-round sleeper.
Well, the only problem there is you got a two-game suspension hanging over his head. So.
You know what? For the starting running back for the Lions, I'll wait 2 games for him.
All right, and I don't know who put this on my show notes. Somebody squeezed in something about a kicker. Professor, was this you? What's going on with... we don't talk kickers on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show.
This man is not a kicker. This is Sebastian Janikowski.
He's a beer-drinking mule.
He's a linebacker-sized kicker. A groin pull for Janikowski is an issue. His main attraction is that he kicks long field goals. If this does hamper his production, the Raiders' offense isn't enough to make him worthwhile.
I'll tell you what, his backup kicker went and kicked a 56-yarder last night. Bad news for Janikowski.
Wow.
Yeah, they like the big legs out there in Oakland.
Okay. And then finally, Luck versus Griffin. Let's face it, everyone's been talking about it all preseason. Who's going to have a better year this year? We've seen 3 preseason games. Commish, who do you think this year is going to have a better fantasy season?
Matt, great question. This year, RG3 is certainly poised to have the better year. He has more weapons around him, but I'll tell you what, Luck seems to love this guy, T.Y. Hilton. He's found him a couple times in preseason for touchdowns. He's, of course, got Colby Fleener, the big tight end, 6'6" out of Stanford, who he played with in college. But I'm going to give the nod to RG3, who has the more weapons around him.
Oh, he's got more weapons, and he's a running threat. He's definitely a more attractive pick in your draft. But you know what? You might want to start looking at Luck mid-season as a bye-week replacement or a late-season pickup. The Colts have a nice schedule late in the season.
All right, sounds good. Now let's go to the phone lines. We got Mark from EHT on the phone. Mark, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning. You guys last night in your draft, I don't know how deep you went, but I got a question for them.
Sure.
Did anybody take RJ3? Like you just got done mentioning that he has a lot of weapons on the team. Did anybody take as a late pick as a Kirk Cousins?
I actually took RG3 as my backup quarterback as a flyer. I ended up with Romo as my starter, and I said, you know what? Let me get a guy to put on the bench and for a couple weeks until I can actually see what he does. And I took RG3 late.
Well, you took RG3 late, but do you like the idea? Let's say if you took RJ3 early and you plug into the system where you take Kirk Cousins as like your last pick, and then you got he plugs right in there if something happens. Then you go heavier with some other positions. And I was looking for some backup running, same scenario with some backup running backs to take late. I can't really quite figure out who. You see the feature running backs, depending on the type of scoring league, some running backs that might come in there might be a factor. I mean, I won a fantasy football league with Ryan Moats a few years ago. coming in off the bench, and just had him back there and he plugged in. I think he had 150, 160 yards that one last game, and boom, it was enough to win a championship.
I got to tell you, I love to get those guys, those deep picks off the bench. In fact, if you go out to kickassfantasyfootball.com, we've got some of those undervalued sleeper and lottery ticket plays. The guy from the Redskins that I picked up to benefit from the RG3 play is Leonard Hankerson, who right now is the number 3 wide receiver out there. But certainly,
you drafted last night. Also, you went to your draft.
We had our show draft, so all of the employees of Kick-Ass Fantasy Football drafted.
And how did you? What did you pick? A running back, or did you pick your type of league? Did you pick a quarterback first?
Oh well, I was at the 4. We'll get into the first round, but I was at the 4, and LaShawn McCoy fell to me. So
would you like the technique of what I just said? Of let's say you would whatever team you would. You got to be lucky. You got to watch out. Somebody's not watching what you're doing and doesn't say, you know what?
I'm not a handcuffed drafter, and I think that's the question you're trying to ask.
And you're also talking about taking RG3 early. You could wait on RG3. He's going very late in drafts. I believe Matt picked him after the 8th or 9th round.
Yeah, I believe in
our draft.
He got him in the 8th. Yeah,
8th round. Yeah, so you could wait on him. If you're targeting him as your number 1, which I think is a mistake.
That's risky. Yes,
that's very risky. You'll definitely benefit by getting some stronger running backs, receivers early if you have that type of strategy.
Right. You really don't need to take him as your number 1. I mean, take the lottery ticket, but put him on your bench and put a guy who's already established and you know what he's going to give you for the first couple weeks until you can see what you got. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to get into our draft. We're here for 2 hours, so we have lots to cover. We'll continue to take your calls and help you with your draft. This is the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN.
Listen up, fantasy football owners. If you want top quality, guaranteed authentic sports memorabilia, there's only one place to go. Prestige Sports Marketing. They offer autographed baseball and football jerseys, framed jerseys, helmets, bats, photos, and amazing artwork. They're 100% guaranteed authentic, so you can feel 100% confident. Check out Prestige Sports Marketing at PrestigeSportsMKTG.com. That's PrestigeSportsMKTG.com. Enter promo code ESPN and get 10% off.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and KickassFantasyFootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from FantasyJudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95, and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for 2 to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with KickassFantasyFootball.com.
This fantasy football season, be sure to check out Power Play Fantasy Sports, featuring free and pay-to-play fantasy football games with huge cash prizes. Power Play Fantasy Sports is your home for the 2012 fantasy football season. Visit the website PowerPlayFantasySports.com and use the promo code KICK to receive 20% off your entry in the Power Player Fantasy Football League, featuring a $5,000 grand prize. Again, that's promo code KICK. If you know football, this is the game for you. Visit PowerPlayFantasySports.com today. Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com. Are you good at fantasy football? Are you used to winning your fantasy league? Now put your fantasy skills to the ultimate test by playing against the rest of the world with Fantasy Football Evolution. Draft your team and then manage it through a 10-week regular season, a 1-week elimination round, and finally, if you're good enough, a 64-team tournament that will determine the first ever Fantasy Football Evolution champion. The winner of Fantasy Football Evolution receives $25,000, cash prizes paid to the top 16 players. Visit www.nextgenffe.com for more details. The only way to know if you're the best is to play against the best. And we are back. This is the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN. We are here with you until 11 o'clock this morning covering the draft special. If you got any questions, your draft is coming up, you got any keeper or dynasty questions, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, we're going to talk a bit about our staff draft that we had last night. It was all the employees of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show got together and went head-to-head. As a heads up, this was a PPR standard scoring system, so nothing out of whack. There were no bonus yards or anything like that, or two quarterbacks. One quarterback, three wide receivers, two running backs, tight end, a flex, D, and we don't talk about kickers. Okay.
Nice.
But I do have to say to start out, because Commish, you had the third pick, Professor, you had the fourth pick. I got screwed. I had the 8th pick. What was up with that?
I got to tell you, I expected the commish to screw me over in a lot of spots, picking ahead of me. You screwed me over more than the commish did. You stole a lot of my players, so don't feel too bad about being in the 8th spot. You still managed to cause me some angst.
All right. Well, so we start out with round 1 and the first pick, as expected, Arian Foster. I don't think there was any big surprise there. But the second pick, which was surprising, Calvin Johnson.
Very surprising here. I think this was way too early to take Calvin. I mean, you have two stud running backs, two elite stud running backs still on the board with Ray Rice, LaShawn McCoy. You have stud quarterbacks still on the board with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. I mean, what is going on here with this number 2?
There's a very simple answer to that. There are 3, maybe 4 stud quarterbacks in the league this year. There is only one outstanding wide receiver. Calvin Johnson is it. I was all ready to take him at 4 if he was there. Luckily, he was gone, and I got the easy pick at the 4 spot. But I don't think that's early at all. If you want Calvin Johnson, you couldn't pick him any later than 5.
Listen, I think he did you a favor, Professor. Can you say Madden Garth?
Oh, my God. Okay, you realize just how much you drop in our listeners' eyes, right, when every time you bring that up. All right, and then with the third pick, Commish, who did you take?
Ray Rice, stud running back, elite stud running back, and an easy pick for me to make.
I agree.
Especially, there's not a lot of depth at running back this year. So
yeah, it's only about 18 or 19 deep. So. Yeah. At running back.
At running back?
Yeah.
Listen, you need to look at some of my notes there, Professor.
All right, Professor. And then you followed the commish. And who did you grab?
Well, it was easy at that point with Calvin Johnson going early. LaShawn McCoy fell to 4. Slam dunk.
Okay.
Especially in a PPR.
Agree. And then the next pick was Aaron Rodgers. I don't think anyone can really argue with that.
No argument.
Excellent pick.
Okay. And then the 6th pick went Darren McFadden.
Lot of upside with this back. If he's healthy all year, he could be the number 1 running back in fantasy this year. But I still think he went a little early. I mean, I'm thinking of Brady before McFadden, a Breeze even before McFadden. I don't agree with that
exactly.
slot.
I had Darren McFadden there. Darren McFadden or Matt Forte were my 2 choices in that spot. So
okay, well then we went with Drew Brees on the 7th pick. And let's face it, those top 3 quarterbacks, you can argue where you're going to put them in the first, but they're definitely up there.
Yeah. No argument there.
Great pick.
And then my plan in the 8th pick, I was planning on taking like a Tom Brady. That was my plan going in, but when Matt Forte fell to me, I just couldn't pass that up and had to go with Forte.
He is PPR gold. You got a gift, man. That was an absolute gift.
The only problem I have with Forte at that spot is Michael Bush. You still had Chris Johnson on the board there, and he's back to where he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think I like him a little better at that position.
I will say my thing with Chris Johnson, I have the whole love-hate relationship with him. Besides last year, we've had him 2 years in a row there, Commish, and did he not burn us both years?
He did, but I think this year is going to turn it around.
We seem to always have him on the weeks he did bad.
Yeah,
when we traded him. So I just had a bad taste in my mouth on Chris Johnson. But he did go right after me with the 9th pick, Chris Johnson, and I think everyone says that's a good spot for him. Then Jimmy Graham, tight end, went in number 10, and there's been a lot of talk. I mean, this is the first year. Can you remember a year when tight ends went in the first round?
Never before the 3rd round. This has got to be a listener to the show here. It's a staff member, so I know he is. But love Jimmy Graham in this spot. I really, the only other guy I would think about here is Tom Brady. So,
yeah,
good pick.
I think definitely Tom Brady should have won in this spot. Although hard to argue with Jimmy Graham, a stud tight end, should be the number one tight end in fantasy this year. But I still think a little early with Brady still on the board.
Okay, and then Julio Jones went next, and arguably going to be, in the top 5 wide receiver. So, anyone surprised that Tom Brady still hadn't gone, and Julio Jones went before him?
A lot of fantasy owners are biased against taking a quarterback in the first round, and if you get a stretch of them in a row here, you can't really argue Julio Jones. He's a solid wide receiver. I got him as number 3 on my list, so somebody taking him here at number 2.
Okay.
No big surprise.
All right.
Yeah, but you know what? I still have Roddy White ranked a little bit higher. He's the guy that's going to get more grabs and more touchdowns. Julio's our long ball hitter, and will be doubled this year. There's now film on this guy. People know what he is.
All right, and then we finished out the first round with the 12th pick at Steven Jackson. Any questions there?
You know what? Why didn't Marshawn Lynch go in this spot? I mean, Marshawn Lynch is a beast. Yeah, he I heard yesterday, although facing the suspension may not come until next season. So Lynch should have been the pick at this spot.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Commish, because you passed on him 10 picks later. So
That's
Lynch,
right.
Lynch was
you
still
didn't
there
take him
for
in the
you.
next round.
So,
All right, so that rounded out round 1. Any big surprises other than Calvin Johnson maybe jumping up a spot?
now I think Julio Jones is definitely the big surprise in that first round. Steven Jackson, a little bit of a stretch, but you got the guys behind him like Peterson and MJD and Ryan Matthews, who plummeted down draft boards. Jackson is solid, and Jeff Fisher is his coach now.
All right.
True. Jeff
Okay.
Fisher will bring the best out of Steven Jackson.
So everyone did okay in the first round. No big shockers there. All right. And again, we're about to start into the second round. If you got any draft or lineup questions, dynasty questions, keeper leagues, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, guys. So then we go into round 2, and our first pick was Tom Brady. So he ended up with Steven Jackson and Tom Brady. Surprising that he fell that low, isn't it?
I would have taken him ahead of Breeze, but other than that, that's where you would expect the third quarterback to go.
Well, not me. I think he should have been one of the first 6 picks in the draft. I think this was a great value pick for him in the second round. If you look at Tom Brady's schedule this year, awesome. He's got an amazing amount of weapons on this team this year. All they're going to do is throw the ball. I expect him to get an incredible amount of touchdowns and probably lead the fantasy charge at quarterback this season.
Okay. And then Adrian Peterson goes with the second pick of round 2.
If he's healthy, it's a great pick. I still
Right.
need to see the proof of that, so it's a little risk.
Right. And maybe something that'll help him later in the season. Those first couple weeks, let's face it, I don't see him being worked out like the workhorse that he really is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matthew Stafford. Now the quarterback goes with the third pick of the second round.
Now, this is my first real reach of the draft. Stafford's been going end of round 2, beginning of round 3. This owner does not pick in that range, so if he wanted Stafford, he had to get him here. Still real early to grab a quarterback.
Well, he was a 5,000-yard passer last season. He is throwing to your Megatron, who you loved at the second pick overall. So I don't think it was too much of a reach.
All right, and then we go with Larry Fitzgerald goes off the board next with the fourth pick of the second round.
It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. He's going to catch his
I believe I'm going to be throwing him the ball.
Yeah,
That's the way it's shaping
he's
up
going
right
to catch touchdowns. He's going to get a lot of yardage, and I think it's a great pick.
I have a pretty wussy arm. 20, 25 yards is it. So he's going to really have to work for it. All right, and then I came back with the fifth pick of the second round, which I have to say, I hate being that eighth and ninth pick this season. That is a tough spot. I'm just giving myself a pat on the back for the great job I did with such a awful pick compared to you guys who got the softballs. thrown your way?
Spoiler alert, I did give Matt a very solid grade for his overall draft. Jamal Charles slid here.
Jamal Charles.
Great pick.
Yeah, that was a great pick. And if you check out our site at kickassfantasyfootball.com, the professor wrote a great article about openers and closers. He has Charles at one of the closers, and because of the schedule here late, and a great pick for you, Matt, second round.
All right, and then Ryan Matthews finally goes off the board with the 6th pick of round 2. Any concerns there?
I'm going to bundle these two picks. Ryan Matthew went 6. Maurice Jones-Drew went 7th. Both of these guys, a little bit of injury risk, but both of them legit first-rounders earlier in the preseason. So these guys are definitely playing the upside.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely foresee MJD signing and getting in camp and being there for the first game of the year. So great pick for the second round. And, Ryan Matthews, I think you're going to have to wait on him probably maybe the third, fourth game before you get any production. But once he's on the field, once he's healthy, he's definitely a number 1 running back.
Yeah, before his injury, he was at 6 and 7 overall.
Yeah.
So if he's healthy, he could be a great play.
Okay, and this one surprised me a bit. The 8th pick of round 2 was Rob Gronkowski. And a lot of drafts, he's going in the first round. To fall that low in the second round,
well,
that kind of surprised me.
This owner has gone Aaron Rodgers, Rob Gronkowski, so he is definitely not playing a running back draft. I like the pick there. That's exactly where I had him.
Yeah, great pick.
Okay. And then we got Andre Johnson finally goes off the board with the 9th pick of the second round.
Love this pick.
Wait,
that's me.
Why? Because that was the professor's pick.
I tell you what, I'm a little surprised with A.J. Green still there that you go Andre Johnson if you're thinking receiver.
Professor? Well, why'd you go Andre Johnson over A.J. Green?
I liked A.J. Green, too. I do think that Cincinnati regresses. They have a brutal schedule in the second half of the season. So, with the coin flip, A.J. gets the choice there.
You mean Andre Johnson?
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. Well, he's also A.J. That's a problem.
All right. Yes. Andre Johnson is who he went with. And then, Kamish, you had the 10th pick of round 2, and you demand. Who'd you take?
Cam Newton.
All right. That's my man there in Carolina. Professor, what did you think of his pick there?
A little early for Cam Newton for the 5th quarterback to go in the second round, but the Commish has got a plan, and we'll talk about that after a couple more picks.
Now, I have to ask you, Commish, because you said you couldn't believe that Marshawn Lynch wasn't taken earlier, but you didn't take him.
I'll tell you why I didn't take him. I already have my elite running back, and I like to take impact players. Cam Newton is absolutely an impact player at quarterback. The other impact player at quarterback have already been taken. He's the last one and I wanted him early. If you look at his schedule, it's excellent. I mean, he's got a great schedule. I already have my elite running back. That's why I wanted Cam before anyone else took him.
Okay, and then A.J. Green went with the 11th pick of round 2. You said it was a coin flip between the two of you, so no big deal.
Yep.
And then finally, Marshawn Lynch goes with the 12th pick of round 2. Surprised that he fell that far?
Very surprised. Great value pick here. I mean, he's a beast. He proved it last year, and especially now that we know the suspension is going to be till next year, next season. You got to take him, and it was a great choice.
All right, so that rounds out round 2. We've covered rounds 1 and 2. And again, if you got any questions for your draft, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, guys, let's move on into round 3. The first pick was DeMarco Murray from Dallas.
Okay, well, now here we start to see what everybody's plan is. And this owner, Ray, from our Tuesday night show, has gone running back. He's got Arian Foster. He's got Marshawn Lynch. He's got DeMarco Murray. 3 guys who are in my top 12 at running back. So he's making a play to own the board at that position.
Yeah, the only problem I have with DeMarco Murray is the Dallas offensive line. They're horrible, and I don't know if this guy's going to last the season. I think he's going to get pummeled along with Romo.
Okay, and then with the second pick of round 3, Roddy White, who you said you had over Julio Jones, Commish, goes off the board.
Absolute impact player, great value pick right here in the third round. I think that should have been swapped in the first round. He's an elite wide receiver and will be there in the top 10 at the end of the season.
Now, this is a position where I think that there's a lot of grouping. There's from the 5th through the 24th wide receiver. I don't think any of them are an impact player. I think they all look the same. However, this player, Dominic, took 3 of the top 7 wide receivers with his first 3 picks. So he's owning that position. So definitely seeing the strategy coming out here.
Okay. And then Brandon Marshall went from Chicago with the 3rd pick of round 3. What do we think of him going that early?
And here's the last plan. One of everything. I got a quarterback. I got a running back. I got a receiver on the commish. Go ahead.
That's right. I got impact players at each position. Brandon Marshall is back with Jay Cutler. They're also back with the offensive coordinator that when they were together originally in Denver when Marshall was came out and was an absolute stud. I expect him not only to catch the balls and the yardage, but to catch touchdowns.
So your plan was basically your first 3 picks to get a stud at each position instead of stacking up on one. Professor, who'd you go with the 4th pick?
Well, I didn't like any of the 10 guys who went after my pick here. Even though he is a little bit of a reach, I was hoping to get him a little bit later. Doug Martin, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he is the guy who is going to break out this year among the rookie running backs. So happy to have him complimenting LaShawn McCoy in my backfield.
You know what? I love the pick, Doug Martin. I really do. Just with Trent Richardson still there, I think I would have stepped up on him only because he's going to be starting and Doug Martin still hasn't been anointed.
Well, we'll talk about Trent Richardson in just a minute. But the next pick was Victor Cruz with the 5th pick of round 3.
Great pick. Victor Cruz showed what he can do. Last year, he's been lighting it up this preseason. I thought that was a great pick in the right spot to take him.
Yeah, it's a solid pick. I do think that there's only so many balls to go around in New York, and you can't have both Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz this high. Hakeem Nicks goes a couple of picks later, so one of these guys is wrong. I just don't know which one.
Right.
And Jordy Nelson went next with Green Bay. We like him here?
Love Jordy Nelson here. He's playing on the other side of Jennings. He's a 12 to 15 touchdown receiver in fantasy this season. Perfect spot to take.
Well, okay, now here's the difference. We got 2 Giants receivers taken in this round, 2 Packers receivers taken in this round. Which offense produces more passing yardage?
The Packers.
And which offense produced the earlier picks at wide receiver? The Giants. So something wrong.
I guess we have a Giants fan in the house.
Yeah, all right. And then after Jordy, as you mentioned, Hakeem Nicks went with the 7th pick of round 3. And like you said, within 2 picks, you had both receivers gone from the Giants.
Somebody's right, somebody's wrong.
Yeah. Somebody's going to be happy, someone not so much. And then with the 8th pick, it came back to me. And as you said, Commissioner, earlier, Trent Richardson fell to me.
In the 3rd round. Excellent pick. Great spot to take him. He was just staring you in the face. There was no one else to take it if you wanted a running back there.
Yeah, the benefit you got here is that we do have a flex player, so you can start Matt Forte, Jamal Charles, and Trent Richardson as your flex guy. That's pretty good there, Matt.
Very good.
Yeah, that's right. All me there. And I have to say, that was not the plan, but when I saw Trent Richardson still on the board, I just couldn't possibly pass that up. And so I had to go for him there. And then Matt Ryan goes off with the 9th pick of round 3. I thought that was a little early. What did you guys think?
I thought this is an interesting pick. I was hoping to get him in the 4th round. I thought a little bit early.
I was targeting him for the 5th round.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it was a shock to me.
Yeah.
But it does give me an opportunity later when we get to that round. So we'll talk about who I take at quarterback as a value pick in the 6th.
All right. And then the 10th pick went Beanie Wells.
Really?
Hate this pick.
Unbelievable.
What?
Love the draft by this owner.
Yeah.
Everywhere else except this pick. Very solid, but this one must have missed the injury report. Must have thought he was taking Williams. I don't know.
Probably the worst
Click
pick
the wrong
in the draft.
button.
Yeah.
To go that early in round 3.
Yeah, way bad. Stay away from Beanie.
Yeah.
In
All
the
right.
3rd.
Yeah.
in the 6th.
In the 8th.
Okay. Then Greg Jennings goes with the 11th pick of round 3, which surprised me that he fell that low.
I thought that was a great value pick in this round, the value pick of the rounds. I mean, you're talking the 11th overall pick in the 3rd round. The guy's back. He's looking great.
Yeah, here's another one. Both Packers receivers go after both Atlanta receivers. So you got to think Aaron Rodgers is throwing more balls than Matt Ryan. So,
and then finally, Percy Harvin goes off with the 12th pick of the 3rd round.
I really like this pick, and I don't like Percy Harvin, but as the preseason has gone on, I'm starting to buy Christian Ponder. So Percy Harvin's got some value.
Yeah, Christian Ponder's going to have to carry the team until we see what AP is going to do, and we come back from the ACL and MCL. And when anytime we've seen AP down, they always focus on Percy Harvin. So that's a great pick there in the 3rd round. All
right, Professor, we got through 3 rounds. What kind of trends did you see going through those rounds?
We got a couple teams, including yourself, Matt, doing the running back approach.
Which I have to say was not my intention going into it. When the guys fell to you like that, I just couldn't let them go.
We got one team going all receivers to start. He makes himself very exposed at running back. And then you've got... I'm sorry, I got lost on my page here. Then you've got the guy who is winning the draft. He's got Aaron Rodgers, number 1 overall quarterback.
Yes.
Rob Gronkowski, arguably 1 or 2 at tight end, and Victor Cruz to start his draft. And wait till you see what this guy does in the next 3 picks. Easily winning the draft right now.
Okay. And we actually got one of our drafters on the phone with us. We got JB who drafted with us. JB, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Good to be here. A lot of fun last night.
Yes. We're talking about the first 3 rounds that we went through. Give us a little bit of your strategy. What were you thinking when you were in those first 3 rounds? What was your strategy going in, and did it hold up through there?
Well, if anyone who listened to our show, me and Professor last Wednesday night, we were talking. I was actually targeting Steven Jackson in this spot, not knowing I would get the 12th spot.
Right.
But I really like him here, and for PPR, he's great out of the backfield. He catches some balls. You know, he is the centerpiece of that offense. So I was really excited to grab him there. Tom Brady, what could I say? He was still there at the top of the 2nd round. You know, I could have gone either way there. You know, they're interchangeable because I drafted back to back. But however, like solidifying a solid quarterback there, I thought was essential, and I was really excited to grab him as well. And then I had to come back. We're starting 3 wide receivers in this league. So, you know, my next 2 picks, I know you haven't started the 4th round yet, but my next 2 picks were both wide receivers. So I was Percy Harvin. You know, if anybody watched what he did last year, I wound up grabbing him like midway through the season last year. And from week 8 on, the guy was just amazing. So it was someone I was actually targeting. And again, to grab him in the 3rd round, I was very, very happy with that pick.
I have to say, I mean, you start out with that 12th pick, and you end up with Steven Jackson, Tom Brady, and Percy Harvin. That is not a bad start, is it there, Professor?
Yeah, I got to give JB some credit here. He's got the most balanced starting lineup, barring tight end, in the league after 6 rounds, and we'll hit his later picks, but he was playing a smart strategy. I like it, and it's a tough spot to draft out of at 12.
Kamish, what did you think of
I mean, I love the Brady pick. I love the Harvin pick. I love the receiver you took after Harvin. I was just questioning the Steven Jackson. I understand, you're thinking PPR. I just think you probably could have waited on him a little. And I liked Lynch a lot more than I liked Steven Jackson at that spot.
But again, this is the Lynch that you also passed by.
Yeah, but I explained why.
I understand, but you didn't like him enough that you had to change your plan to get him.
I already have Ray Rice. I don't need Lynch. Thank you.
All right, hey, and JB, when are you on Blog Talk Radio? Where can the people check you out at?
Every Wednesday night, we're on Blog Talk Radio from 9 to 10 through the preseason and into the first couple of weeks. My counterpart will be the Professor, and we're looking to add a couple of new people to the show, so we're looking for an exciting program this year.
All right, and you'll be able to check that out on Blog Talk Radio. You can find out all the information, our entire schedule, at kickassfantasyfootball.com. JB, appreciate you calling in.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
All right. And when we come back, we're going to continue to break down our draft. We'll continue to take your questions and help you, guide you to a championship. You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN. you good at fantasy football? Are you used to winning your fantasy league? Now put your fantasy skills in the ultimate test by playing against the rest of the world with Fantasy Football Evolution. Draft your team and then manage it through a 10-week regular season, a 1-week elimination round, and finally, if you're good enough, a 64-team tournament that will determine the first ever Fantasy Football Evolution champion. The winner of Fantasy Football Evolution receives $25,000, cash prizes paid to the top 16 players. Visit www.nextgenffe.com for more details. The only way to know if you're the best is to play against the best. Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
Listen up, fantasy football owners. If you want top quality, guaranteed authentic sports memorabilia, there's only one place to go. Prestige Sports Marketing. They offer autographed baseball and football jerseys, framed jerseys, helmets, bats, photos, and amazing artwork. They're 100% guaranteed authentic, so you can feel 100% confident. Check out Prestige Sports Marketing at PrestigeSportsMKTG.com. That's PrestigeSportsMKTG.com. Enter promo code ESPN and get 10% off.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and KickassFantasyFootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from FantasyJudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95 and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for two to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with KickassFantasyFootball.com.
This fantasy football season, be sure to check out Power Play Fantasy Sports, featuring free and pay-to-play fantasy football games with huge cash prizes. Power Play Fantasy Sports is your home for the 2012 fantasy football season. Visit the website powerplayfantasysports.com and use the promo code KICK to receive 20% off your entry in the Power Player Fantasy Football League, featuring a $5,000 grand prize. Again, that's promo code KICK. If you know football, this is the game for you. Visit powerplayfantasysports.com today. And we are back. This is the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN. We are breaking down our staff draft that we had last night, telling you who went where and what the experts think of the picks and where they fell. Just for a heads up, again, if you missed the intro to it, this was a PPR standard scoring system. Nothing unique, no two quarterbacks or anything like that. We did have to start 3 wide receivers, so that took some of that away. All the plethora of wide receivers, because you had to start 3, you had to start 2 running backs, quarterback, tight end, and a flex, and then, of course, a kicker and a D. If you have any questions because your draft is coming up, or you're in a keeper league or dynasty league and need some help on who you need to keep, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, guys, so we got through the first 3 rounds, and we're going into round 4.
Well, there's an interesting thing happening right at the top of this round. As fantasy owners, you see trends, you see runs happen in drafts, and we are in the middle, dead in the middle, of 12 of the 16 picks here being wide receivers. So people have done their quarterback, running back, or running back, and you're going to see a lot of wide receivers going. And, it's a little bit of the poo-poo platter as far as who we've got here, but watch the top of this round and look at what's going on.
Well, and I think one thing that really affected that, especially for myself, was the 3 wide receiver start.
Yes.
There is a plethora of wide receivers this year, but when you have to start 3 of them, that cuts down quite a bit.
There's 28 good wide receivers, and there's 36 starters in this league, so somebody's not going to be able to sit down when the music stops.
Right. All right, so with the first pick of round 4, Wes Welker goes off.
Great pick.
No argument there, especially in a PPR.
In a 4th round, are you kidding? Wes Welker, huge value pick here in the 4th, I think.
Yeah,
my 4th round.
My target actually for the New England receivers is Brandon Lloyd in this round, and he ain't there when I get to him. But I do have Wes Welker discounted a little bit and Brandon Lloyd up a little bit, but can't argue with Wes Welker.
Especially in a PPR. The man catches a lot of balls.
He does.
All right, and let's go to the phones. We got Mike from Baltimore on the phone. Mike, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Hi, how you doing?
Not too bad.
Good. I'm in a keeper league, and we keep 4 players. I picked first because my team was so awful last year.
All right.
And I've got 3 wideouts set. My only running back is McGahee. We got 18 running backs protected and 8 quarterbacks. So the quarterbacks left are Eli, Peyton, Shaw, and then you get to those lower guys.
Right.
And I can't decide if I want Trent Richardson or, the other running backs would be Sproles or Gore.
Is this a PPR league?
No PPR.
No PPR.
Yeah, I really like Trent Richardson here. I think he's a guy that is going to give you top 10 production. And McGahee's a guy who's going to probably get hurt as he does every year during the season. Hillman's going to end up taking over that role at some point. Yeah, probably late in the year.
Yeah, with the first pick overall, I think you're choosing between Richardson and Martin. Martin's got a little bit more upside, but I took him because I already had LaShawn McCoy. I think Trent Richardson is a good safe pick, especially if you're pairing him with McGahee.
That's where I'm leaning. And with Richardson playing the Ravens twice and the Steelers twice, I think Doug Martin might be a better choice there, too.
Yeah, he's got upside.
Well, he's got upside, but
Richardson is the show in Cleveland this year.
Right.
Right.
So it's do you want to play it safe? You got to go Richardson, and if you want to gamble, well, okay.
And you know what? If your team did come in last year, you might want to go with the gamble.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, appreciate the call, and we got Joe on the phone from Galloway. Joe, welcome to the show. What's your question?
How you doing, guys? Listen, you guys helped me out a lot last year. Won my league.
All right.
I want to keep following up and say I was really competing against my wife with that stud lineup.
I remember you.
Yes.
I won my league because going into that game, I think it was that Monday night game, and the Saints were playing.
Right.
And Bruce went nuts with the Colston, and that's what won me. I was down by 20 going into that game. I knew I had it won though. I don't think it really mattered. I have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
We already had our draft. I think my wife. I don't know if my wife made a mistake. I think she did okay. She had a choice to be either we were in a keeper league, we only could keep one, and it was after the 4th round from that draft.
Right.
Draft.
Mm-hmm.
So it was either keep Victor Cruz, or keep Graham. She kept Graham.
Yeah, that was the right.
I don't think she can
choice.
go wrong either way. The reason why I didn't like Cruz is Manningham's apart from there. I think there's going to be a lot of attention on Victor Cruz this year.
Absolutely.
I think she made the right choice.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham is by far the better choice there. We've got him as a first rounder.
Yes, and I was obviously keeping Drew Brees because I got him in the 5th round last year. I don't know how he just fell all the way down there. It was ridiculous.
That's a thing of beauty. You got a first rounder too.
Yeah, so that's both of you got a first rounder that you had to give up a 4th round pick.
It had somebody that was picked 4th or later the previous year.
4th or later. Yeah. So I didn't get a 5th round pick in this year. We already had our draft this year. I didn't like having it this early, but it is what it is.
It is tough. The earlier you have it.
Can I run my team down by you, my starters?
Sure, go ahead.
I have Breeze, Matt Forte, Fred Jackson, Deshaun Jackson, Marquez Colston. I think that Jacob Tammey is my one tight end. I can't remember who the other is. I have a flex player. And my kicker is Mason Crosby, and I can't remember who my defense I picked. It was a good defense. It was pretty far. It was pretty high up there.
You got it. You got a solid team. Forte and Jackson, about as good as it gets for a pair. We're in a 12
league, and it was really scarce. I mean, the running backs went so quick. You were really scraping.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would say
depth there. So you did good. You have impact players, and that's what the name of the game is.
I have one more question.
Sure.
What do you think about that? The wide receiver for Jacksonville, that Blackman. I got him.
The only problem I have with him is Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. He's got talent, but he doesn't have the quarterback throwing the ball. Gabbert's looked a little better this preseason, but still not enough for me to like anybody.
He's on my bench, obviously, but it was.
If you have him on your bench,
some of these people that were in our draft, I couldn't understand. I mean, one guy was he had the first pick because he had the worst team last year. He was drafted for the first pick next year.
Yeah,
Joe, I'm gonna make one more suggestion to you. Go out, take a look at the wide receiver and running back undervalued plays. Next year's DeMarco Murray, next year's Victor Cruz, and find some guys that weren't drafted and target them as early waiver wire pickups. You get a couple lottery tickets, you'll be on your way to another championship.
And let's face it, Blackman on your bench is not a bad thing as a lottery ticket because he could turn into something. You never know.
Next year.
Yep. All right, let's get back to talking about our draft, but I want to remind you, if you have any questions, hey, drafts are coming up. They're going right now. You need to run by us and make sure you made the right call. Give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, so we got Wes Welker going in the first pick of round 4, followed by Marquise Colston went with the second pick of round 4. What do we think of that one?
Nice, solid wide receiver in the 4th round.
Definitely, during this wide receiver run, I think he went right where he's supposed to go.
And then Steve Smith from Carolina goes next. Even with that nagging foot injury, let's face it, it shouldn't be all that big. It's just a staph infection.
Yeah, if he comes back at anything like last year, this guy has gotten a bargain. And this is the guy that unfortunately drafted Beanie Wells previously. The rest of his draft is fantastic.
I have to say, I was really hoping he'd slip because I pick in 2 more spots. I was wanting Steve Smith. Of course, being a Carolina fan and being able to take him there, I would have loved that. But nope, I was denied. Antonio Brown goes next.
Love this pick. Love Antonio Brown.
Hate this pick.
Really?
Hate this pick.
I think he's lighting it up in the preseason, putting pressure on Wallace to get back in there. And I think he'll definitely be a guy that will have one-on-one coverage all year when Wallace does return.
He is a preseason illusion, and I think once Wallace gets back and once Mendenhall gets back, I think that Antonio Brown may fall to the 4th option in that offense.
Wow. Okay. And then I had the 5th pick of round 4, and I went with Jeremy Maclin.
PPR gold.
Yeah, these homers make me sick. People that draft all Eagles. So.
Yeah, you only have three Eagles, I believe, on your team.
Purely accidental.
Yes. And then Darren Sproles goes off the board next with the 6th pick of round 4.
PPR league. He's one of the running backs in this run, but he might as well be a receiver the way he catches the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, I like him because it's a PPR league here. There is a lot of muddy waters there, though, in the Saints backfield. You got Pierre Thomas. You just got a lot of running backs there. But guess what? For PPR, even with Mark Ingram still there, he's a good pick there.
And then
Muddy Waters in the backfield. How about Muddy Waters on the bench? What are they down to? They're 6 or 7 coach now.
Yeah,
crazy.
All right, and then Brandon Lloyd from New England goes off the board with the 7th pick of round 4.
Love this pick.
Great pick.
I think that Brandon Lloyd is going to be a top 5 wide receiver this year. If he lasted to me a couple picks later, I'd have taken him. You got to remember, Josh McDaniels produced Randy Moss's fantastic season for the Patriots a few years ago.
You know what? I'm going to tell you that I think Brandon Lloyd's going to be the long ball hitter here. Wes Welker's still going to catch a ton of balls underneath, and he'll still catch his 90, 100 balls. But I think Brandon Lloyd's going to catch the long ones for the touchdowns, which is nice. And if you got bigger points.
He is a target like Randy Moss. You could see him actually diminishing Gronkowski's value because he's another big target in the red zone.
Yeah, another reason to take Graham early. Yeah, absolutely.
And then Fred Jackson from Buffalo goes off with the 8th pick of round 4. What do we think of him there?
You know what? Fred Jackson is just about the most boring pick in this draft, but it's the right value.
At the right place.
And this owner is one that hasn't picked a running back yet. Great running back to start with. Guy who will be solid.
I think it was the value pick of the round. He is an undervalued guy for sure, but to get him here in the 4th with not a lot of options there.
Yeah, people are a little worried about C.J. Spiller, I think, but still not enough to.
And then, Professor, before we go to your pick, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Steve from EHT on the phone. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Love the show.
All right. Thanks. What's your question?
So this year, with all this, seems like there's a lot of different running backs out there who are second string who are going to play, like Rashad Jennings. You got Doug Martin in Tampa Bay, who's maybe going past one, and then you got Gerhardt in Minnesota, probably spending a lot of time for Adrian Peterson. What do you guys think about those 3 guys?
Well, I love Martin as a starter. I think that he's got that job. It's a done deal. Rashard Jennings has got it for the beginning of the season. Kamish, what about Gerhardt, ADP?
I mean, look, Gerhardt looks great so far in the preseason, but he's going to be splitting time here with Peterson. Peterson is a one guy that I know works his tail off to get on the field, no matter what the injury. But with an ACL, MCL, I think you're going to see a little split backfield. So of the three, I choose Martin here as the winner.
Do you as well, Professor? Martin's the guy?
Oh, I took him in the third. I wouldn't look at Jennings before the 7th and Gerhardt before the 9th or 10th.
So Martin is the man, Steve.
Sounds good. I drafted them in all my teams, so thank you.
All right.
Good to hear that.
Good play. All right, and we got Frank on the phone from Wilmington. Frank, welcome to the show.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Got a great show, man.
All right, thank you.
We're doing a standard PPR league, and it's one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, tight end flex. I had the first pick. I went with Aaron Rodgers, and the rest of the team ended up as Matt Forte. I got Fred Jackson, Brandon Lloyd, Hakeem Nicks, and Rob Gronkowski.
Wow.
I would like to congratulate you on your championship.
Yeah. Where do we send the trophy?
Really?
This is fantastic. How many guys are in this league?
Yeah, that's okay. I wasn't exactly. This is my first time really doing a serious fantasy league this year, and I wasn't sure exactly how the team was really going to pan out.
Are you in a third grade girls' school league or something?
Can we be invited to play?
Man, no, you hit a home run there. I mean, As
he ran down his thing, I was like, "Wow, Forte slipped to the second round. That's strong." And then I think
Gronkowski?
I think you got six or seven guys from my first three rounds.
Three rounds, yeah. Wow.
Oh, man. And what are your opinions for my flex? I'm kind of debating between Jermichael Finley, Willis McGahee, and Jeremy Maclin. Those are my three guys.
Macklin's the upside guy. With the rest of that team, you get him in there every week. And some weeks he won't produce, but the weeks he does, he'll be amazing.
And if you have Maclin as a flex...
How many guys are in this league, Frank?
Well, it was supposed to be 10, but 2 guys didn't show up, so it ended up being 8.
Okay, well, then
I'm feeling a little better.
All right. but it's still a great team. You have a strong team. You were strong in every position. I mean, he's going to the playoffs, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a winning team there.
No doubt.
All right.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.
Right, Frank.
Thanks for the call. And if you got any questions, want to run your team's bias, or you need help with your draft coming up, keeper leagues, dynasty leagues, whatever you got, man, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN, 609-573-3776. All right, we are in the 4th round of our staff draft. And, Professor, who did you take with the 9th pick?
I took Ahmad Bradshaw. Now, we talked a little bit earlier in the show about his competition at running back, but I think Bradshaw keeps the job. More importantly, Bradshaw has got a ridiculously easy schedule to start the season, so he's going to come out strong. I've got a little bit of depth at the position, so I like Bradshaw a lot there.
Yeah, you know what? Bradshaw, I agree with everything you said. However, they did draft this Wilson kid in the first round. We talked about that a little bit earlier. He does have a history of getting hurt. But
I'm going to steal your line here, Kamish. Just because he's on my team at the draft don't mean he's going to be on my team late in the season.
Love that. Love that. That's right. You draft for the week 1 and you trade the rest of the way.
Draft for week 1. All right. And then, Kamish, you had the 10th pick of round 4, and who did you take?
I went with my 4th impact player, Matt, Antonio Gates. The 2 top tight ends were off the board, Jimmy Graham and Gronkowski. The 3rd tight end to be taken, which is the number 1 target on the San Diego Superchargers, Antonio Gates.
Okay. I got just a one-word response there, reach.
Reach.
No way. Wow. How is that reach? He's the number 1 target.
He is.
Now Floyd will get hurt, as he does.
He's a 3rd or 4th round guy in the years that he's the number 1 tight end. He is 3, maybe 4 overall. So you could have had just as good value a couple rounds later. That's the definition of a reach.
Okay. And then Eric Decker goes with the 11th pick of round 4. What do we think of Eric Decker here?
I love that pick.
Yeah.
I love the Denver receivers this year.
Yes.
Peyton Manning makes everybody look like gold.
Yeah, I mean, PPR gold here. Decker's going to catch a ton of balls.
Yep.
And I think that was a great pick here in the 4th.
All right. And then we have Mike Wallace, Pittsburgh, going with the 12th pick of round 4.
Now, this one, yes, Mike Wallace is holding out. It's likely that the Steelers will punish him slightly and in some way. Our drafter in that spot was on a robot, an auto drafting tool for the first few rounds, and Mike Wallace definitely was picked a little high considering his contract situation. So take that one with a grain of salt.
Kamish, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if Wallace signs, this was a great pick of the 4th round. And I was watching a little bit of the game last night with Roethlisberger talking. He hopes to have him in camp in the next 2 days. So Wallace, not a bad pick, especially if he gets in there.
All right, so we've gotten through the first 4 rounds. We've answered some of your questions. When we come back, we're going to continue to answer your questions. You can call us in, go over any of your draft stuff. We'll break down the rest of our draft and show you why I had the best draft out of the Fantasy League. And you can find all this information on our website. It's kickassfantasyfootball.com. You can see our projections. You can punch in your scoring system. It'll calculate it all out for you and tell you who to take, who not take. And I have to say, Professor, you had some great articles that you posted before this weekend that really helps drafters. It really helps drafters out. And that was some great stuff. Check it out.
Win the back end of your draft, baby.
That's right. And we'll be back. You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on ESPN.
WENJ FM, Millville. WENJ, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN FM is South Jersey's home for the best Cape Atlantic League high school football action. Tune in every Friday starting at 6 p.m. to the Countdown to Kickoff show, featuring game previews, interviews with coaches, and more. At 7 p.m., it's the high school football game of the week. Then stick around for the halftime show and post-game wrap-up. It's the best high school coverage around on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
Fantasy football owners, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show is back every Sunday this season with everything you need to cruise into a championship. Join me, the Professor,
and me, the Commish, along with Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry. Get all your fantasy football news as we break down all the players and tell you who to start and who to trade while we take your calls all show long.
We'll see you every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. all season long here on 97.3 ESPN. Check us out on the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com.
Philadelphia Eagles football is on 97.3 ESPN FM.
And the kick is good!
The Eagles close out the preseason with the New York Jets. Kickoff is Thursday night at 6:35 p.m.
Here comes the rush. They've got him or they bury him!
On South Jersey's home for Eagles football.
At the 5, he's in for the touchdown!
97.3 ESPN FM.
Brought to you by Dino's of Northfield. Get your game day party trays and pizza at Dino's of Northfield. Atlantic Auto Group, AtlanticAutoGroup.com. The Ocean City Free Public Library, American Iron and Metal International, and American Recycling. Burke Volkswagen. The Law Office of Goldenberg Mackler. Online at GMSLaw.com. Bunting Family Pharmacy, your local family pharmacy. Admiral Nissan, AdmiralNissan.com. Miller Lite, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And by Romeo Party Supplies in Egg Harbor Township in Vineland.
Philadelphia Eagles football is on 97.3 ESPN FM.
And we are back. This is the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN, and we are here to help guide you to a championship. This is our 2-hour draft special. We are breaking down our staff draft, telling you who we took, why we took them, and who did well and who really stunk it up. And just so everyone knows, again, this was a standard scoring PPR league. You had to start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback, tight end, and a flex, and then, of course, the defense and the kicker. And if you have any questions, give us a call, because if your draft is coming up or you want to run by what you did and see what the grade is on it, you got a keeper league, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. We'll get you on the air with the guys. All right, guys, so we're into the 5th round. With the first pick, Miles Austin goes off.
Yeah, there's still that guy with the auto draft, and Miles Austin's injury is not taken into account. So next.
Okay. Hamstrings are up. Moving on. So Vernon Davis, San Francisco tight end. What did we think of that in the 5th round?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a bad pick. He's definitely one of the biggest targets for the San Francisco 49ers, so good pick here in the 5th.
Yeah, I think it's still a little too early for tight ends, but what the hell do I know? I took my number 12 overall, so I waited way late.
All right, and then Kamish, you had the 3rd pick of round 5.
It was time for my 2nd wide receiver behind Brandon Marshall with Dwayne Bowe, the number 1 in Kansas City. Finally signed his tender. He's playing. He's been in preseason. I expect him to be a a top 10, top 15 performer here by the end of the year.
Yeah, it's a solid pick. I can't really argue with it. The guy that went next I like a little bit better, but hey.
All right. Well, you say that because you had that pick, Professor. So who did you take with the fourth pick, round 5?
I took Vincent Jackson. Gets a change of scenery down in Tampa Bay. He's got a quarterback that will be improving this year over his regression last year. I like everything about the situation for him, so definitely going to outperform his draft spot.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I have to say, with the 5th pick of round 5, the guy I was hoping was going to fall just a couple more spots, I was going to take him. Reggie Bush goes.
Yeah, this is the kid that has no running backs through 3 rounds. This is my only A+ out of our entire draft, including myself. This kid picks Reggie Bush right after taking Fred Jackson. Immediately fixes his running back woes. This is a solid team so far.
But, Professor, and not a bad pick, Reggie Bush. I'm in agreement. But you still had McGahee, Turner, and Gore on the board.
Yeah.
You still like Bush over these 2 guys?
Yeah, you do. Oh, yeah.
This is
Reggie
a PPR
Bush,
league, for one. And what other weapon does Miami have?
Yeah. Okay.
If he had fallen a couple more spots, he wouldn't have been on the board going into the next round. I would have taken him. But we got Jason on the phone from Dover, Delaware. Jason, welcome to the show. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Great show.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason.
I'm in a 14-team league, commissioner of it. I wound up with the 2nd pick, and I wound up with Rodgers, Jimmy Graham.
Nice.
And then I couldn't get Brandon Lloyd, so I wound up picking Demaryius Thomas and Victor Cruz.
Okay, now
this is a 14-team league.
No, this is solid. Yeah. You got to remember he hasn't taken a running back yet.
Right, that's
true. So you got to the 5th round. Who you got for running backs?
I got to the 5th round. I wound up picking Fred Jackson, and then I picked up Sproles right after that.
Wow, you did great.
Yeah, you know what? These guys shouldn't be falling to you that late. You did a fantastic job there, and that's exactly what you do. If you're not going running backs early, Fred Jackson and an upside guy like Sproles or Bush it's a great team.
Yeah, for a 14-team league, you did excellent. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be. That you built a playoff team already.
I appreciate it. Hey, I even picked up Cutler late as a backup.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah, very solid.
How are these guys falling? So this is a 14-team league, and
that's great. 14-team league, and it's the snake pick. Pick. So I picked 2nd, and then I didn't pick again till pick 32. So I was surprised with the guys I wound up with.
Jason, if you have a spot in that league next year, you can reach me at the commish at kickassfantasyfootball.com.
No, great job. I think we have another playoff team here, right?
Yeah, that's a solid play there. Solid group of guys.
All right.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Yeah, looking good. All right, let's go back to the phones. We got Ishmael from Northfield on the phone. Ishmael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, what do you got for us?
Well, I have my draft coming up at 11, and I'm an 11th pick.
Okay.
I'm wondering what will be a good strategy to start with my 11th pick and my 14, which are going to be the 2 ones that have to count.
Now, are you a PPR league or a non-PPR league?
I'm non-PPR.
Non-PPR, okay. I mean, it really all depends who's there. In our draft, Tom Brady was there, who's an impact elite quarterback. Julio Jones actually went with the 11th pick in our staff draft last evening.
If you've got the three big
running backs,
the quarterbacks,
right.
One of them might be there. Jimmy Graham might be there for you. Otherwise, you're rolling the dice on Chris Johnson, Steven Jackson. Maybe even Larry Fitzgerald in that spot. I would hope for one of the quarterbacks to fall.
Marshawn Lynch, even.
Yeah, I really
PPR.
not loving.
that will be the one to choose. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
all right,
you up, guys.
All right, thanks for the call, and let's go back to the phones. We got Joe from Philadelphia on the phone. Joe, welcome to the show.
All right, just a quick keeper league question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in a 10-person league, no PPR, and I got 2 options to keep. For last year. My one, I got Gronkowski to 15, so that's obvious.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm just confused with my second one. I can either get Wes Welker in the 5th or Julio Jones in the 8th.
Jones.
Julio Jones.
That's a slam dunk. Julio Jones in the 8th round. You will have a very solid core of wide receivers, and your number 1 guy won't be there for 8 rounds. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. You got so many players on with Brandon Lloyd there in New England. Julio Jones is a slam dunk. I agree.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Have a great draft.
Appreciate the call. And if you guys got any questions for us, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. Again, that's 609-573-3776 because, hey, it's draft time. Let's face it. If you got those keeper leagues, you got those dynasty leagues, your draft's coming up, hey, it is hard to bounce back if you have a bad draft. Very few people can do it well. Well, the commish does it pretty well, Professor, but...
Yeah, he does.
But that's because he trades constantly. He has kind of a sickness. But if you don't, you need to make sure you have a good draft. So give us a call. Again, that's 609-573-ESPN, 609-573-3776. We'll help you out. All right, guys, so we got through Reggie Bush with the 5th pick of round 5. The 6th pick went Phillip Rivers of round 5.
Yeah, you know what? I've written a couple articles this week, and I think I said this sentence in about 4 different places. Don't waste your time with Romo, Roethlisberger, or Rivers. And all of them are ordinary. There's not a lot of upside. I'm going to give you a pass there, Matt. You got Romo and RG3, so you got your upside guy, and you got a committee. You got 2 top 10 guys. So there's a strategy there. But if you're relying on Phillip Rivers and taking him in the 5th, I don't like this pick.
You know what? I think it's a value pick in the 5th round.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I really do. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff out there at quarterback left, so I don't think that's a bad pick.
There is something to be said about there's not a lot of stuff left at quarterback, but really, where is he? Shouldn't you get where there is stuff left and just say, well, fine. I mean, we'll play whatever quarterbacks come later on?
Eli Manning, Michael Vick, and Tony Romo and Robert Griffin are all there at this point and are all better than Phillip Rivers this year.
Okay, well. All right, and then after Phillip Rivers, Jermichael Finley went.
Another solid tight end, appropriate value. Not a lot to say there, Commish. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I personally don't like him. I don't think he has the hands in the end zone, but yeah, I mean, not a bad pick here in the 5th.
All right, and then with the 8th pick of round 5, it was my pick, and I went with Stevie Johnson from Buffalo.
You know what? These Buffalo guys are probably the least exciting players in this draft. Great pick, solid, right value.
Yeah.
All right, and then Willis McGahee went with the 9th pick.
I think that's a great pick in the 9th. I mean, you know, I was trying to argue before about taking him over a Reggie Bush a little earlier in the round, so I think here's a great spot for McGahee to go.
Yeah, I just think that they're going to go more towards the passing game, and his value will get decreased. So.
Okay. All right, and then with the 10th pick of round 5, we had Michael Turner.
I was waiting on Michael Turner here. I think we could have waited a little bit longer for him. I think eventually Jacquizz Rodgers is going to be the guy here. Right. He's showing his age a little bit here in preseason, so I'm not really excited about this pick.
And their offensive coordinator wants to pass. So Turner's not the guy.
Right.
All right, but then Frank Gore goes with the 11th pick of round 5.
This is a great. I'm surprised that Frank Gore has dropped this low. He should not be hanging out with the likes of Willis McGahee and Michael Turner and Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. That's a good play there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and with the final pick of round 5, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis goes off.
The law firm.
I like Green Ellis. I love him in Cincinnati. I think you could have waited a round on him, but the guy picking here has got the first pick in the next round, so I guess that's a moot point.
Okay, that's a good point. All right, and let's go back to the phones. We got James from EHT on the phone. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I have a couple of quick questions for you.
Okay.
I was in the draft last night. I picked Chris Johnson, the tight end Tammy, and I'm thinking about picking up Steve Smith off of waivers, who's with the Rams. What do you think about those picks? Now, I'm thinking that Chris Johnson having a new quarterback behind him, they might go more towards the running game, so that's why I got him. I picked Tammy in Denver because of Peyton Manning. And I'm thinking about picking Smith off of waivers because I think he's the only go-to guy that Sam Bradford has. What are your thoughts about that?
Chris Johnson is a legit first rounder, no argument there. What round did you get Tammy in?
I got Tammy in the 3rd round.
That's a little early. It's a lot early. It's really, really early. He's in a good situation. He's with Peyton Manning. There's a lot of upside, but you could have waited till the 10th or 11th round to get Jacob Tamme, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Tamme, I love Tamme this year. I've been touting him this last month, actually, on our show. But I think it's a guy you could have waited on. What other wide receivers do you have that you're thinking about as Steve Smith from the Rams? Because they do have, remember, Danny Amendola, who's been doing pretty well.
I did pick up Brandon Marshall.
Okay.
Well, there you go. There's a good pick.
Nice.
Right, yeah, I did pick up him, and I also got Calvin Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Now
you just fixed yourself. Now
it
you're
really
ready to do
doesn't
something
matter
a bit
who
more.
your third receiver is.
But I'm thinking as a safety net, as
got
far as
you.
wide receivers getting Steve Smith off of waivers. What do you feel about that?
There are guys with a lot more upside out there. A guy that I like is Leonard Hankerson.
Kendall Wright, if
Kendall
he's out
Wright's
there.
another
Titus
good
Young.
one. Titus Young, Ashland Jeffrey,
Okay.
Randall Cobb. Actually, if Randall Cobb is on your waiver wire, go get him right now.
Okay.
That is the guy.
Okay. All right, I'll definitely pick him up as soon as I get off the phone.
All right. Thanks for the call.
a lot, guys.
Thanks, James.
Really appreciate it.
And let me tell you, I was a little worried about his team there, and then he throws out. By the way,
I'm sure he was picking more than 3 players.
Yes.
He just had 3 guys.
Right. Yes, sounded a lot better there. All right. Again, you guys got any questions? Give us a call 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. And we are getting into our 6th round of our staff draft that we had last night. It was, again, standard scoring, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback, a tight end, a flex, a defense, and a kicker. And with the first pick of round 6, Demaryius Thomas went off the board.
Yeah,
Great pick here.
Yeah, in a non-PPR league, he goes before Decker. Decker's the guy for PPR, but both of these guys are going to perform.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas is going to be the long ball hitter here for Denver, catching the deep ones. So if you get more points for a long touchdown, he's your guy.
All right, and then Dez Bryant goes off the board next.
Value, but he's injured.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I have with Brian is like you said, Professor, the injury. He's probably the only Cowboy that I really like this year. I think there's a fire lit under him under his off the field incident with his mother.
Okay. I didn't like him just because anyone who hits their mother.
Yeah, no, that's not right.
I don't want to have to root for. All right, Jonathan Stewart.
You have to play the guessing game between Stewart and Williams every year. It's a game that I don't enjoy playing, but it's about where his value is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he did get the big contract this year, but D'Angelo, I think, well, like you said, we're guessing, should be the starter still.
All right, and then Torrey Smith from Baltimore, the wide receiver, goes off next.
Here's a hit or miss guy, huge upside, but some weeks he just disappears.
Yeah, I mean, and the hands still bother me with Torrey Smith.
All right, and then I had the 5th pick of round 6, and I went with Pierre Garçon.
Love this pick. I think it's the value pick of the round, Matt. You did a great job here. I think him and RG3 will be making beautiful touchdowns together.
Professor?
No, that's a good pick. I just want to, in the interest of time, we can take turns on these players at this point.
Well, yes, but when it's my pick
when
and it's great, we have to take our time to point out how great of a pick this was.
It's an okay pick. There's a reason I like
right,
Leonard Hankerson as a sleeper, and the reason is Pierre Garçon. So
all right, and then Deshaun Jackson went with the 6th pick of round 6. Professor?
You know what? If he's back and he's committed, this could be the value play of this round. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, and then Aaron Hernandez, the tight end for New England, goes with the 7th pick.
Wow, I mean, great value here in the 6th round. Hernandez will absolutely put up the numbers. Good number 1 tight end for him there.
All right, and then Professor, you had the 7th pick. The 9th pick of round 6, and who did you go with?
You know what? I got Michael Vick in the 6th round.
Second Eagle.
That's not my fault. I am an Eagles fan, but I was targeting Matt Ryan in the 5th. I wanted one of those 2 guys. Michael Vick dropped into the 6th round. Couldn't pass him up. There's guys I like behind him, but I couldn't pass him up at that spot.
You agree with that, Commish?
Yeah, I mean, Michael Vick, he's a do-or-die guy. Upside, a lot of upside, high risk, high reward.
And in the 6th round, you can't really let him go past that, can you?
No.
Okay, and then you had the 10th pick of round 6. Who did you take?
Needed to take a number 2 running back. I've been watching Donald Brown. I like what I'm seeing. I think he's healthy, and it looks like when healthy, he's going to produce some big numbers, especially with all the attention to Andrew Luck.
Okay.
Yeah, solid, if uninteresting play there.
Okay.
Good play.
And then with the 11th pick of round 6, and I have to say, if he fell to round 7, he was my pick, Peyton Manning, the quarterback there with Denver. What do we think of him, Professor, going there?
It's about the right value. You might have been able to wait till the 7th round on him. It's hard to get excited about too many of the quarterbacks past this point, except for some of the lottery tickets.
Yep, and I figured he had a lot of potential upside if I could have got him in the 7th. That was where I was going, but didn't work out that way. And then finally, Eli Manning, his brother, and let me tell you, is that no respect for Eli?
I'll tell you what,
the Super Bowl winner goes after his injured brother who didn't play for a year.
It really is, Matt. I mean, he's 347 yards short of hitting 5,000 passing. How he doesn't go before Peyton, who has a very difficult schedule. If you take a look at Denver's schedule this year, I think that was a great pick. Wait until the 6th to get him.
Yeah, he's definitely a better pick than Peyton Manning or Phillip Rivers, both of whom went ahead of him.
Okay, so that takes us through the 6 rounds. Professor, what did you think through 6?
Through 6 rounds, and this is where I really gave everybody their grade. The kid that I mentioned earlier that took no running backs till the 3rd round takes Fred Jackson, Reggie Bush, and Peyton Hillis. So he has fixed his team's problem. He is the A-plus team in this draft. JB has got a solid team with Jackson and the law firm. He's also got Harvin, Welker, and Thomas from Denver as his receivers, and Tom Brady as his quarterback. That is a very good team. And also sharing a grade of an A, and I don't grade myself, Matt has got an A. He has got a very solid team, and he's about to make it stronger with his next 2 picks. So.
Yeah, I give Matt an A too. Very well balanced team here. He's got a good spread between running back and wide receiver. Very good job, man.
I have to say, both of you guys will be staying on for at least another couple of weeks after that. All right, well, when we're going to come back, we're going to fire through rounds 7 through 10. You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN. This fantasy football season, be sure to check out Power Play Fantasy Sports, featuring free and pay-to-play fantasy football games with huge cash prizes. Power Play Fantasy Sports is your home for the 2012 fantasy football season. Visit the website powerplayfantasysports.com and use the promo code KICK to receive 20% off your entry in the Power Player Fantasy Football League, featuring a $5,000 grand prize. Again, that's promo code KICK. If you know football, this is the game for you. Visit powerplayfantasysports.com today.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and kickassfantasyfootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from fantasyjudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95, and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for 2 to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with kickassfantasyfootball.com.
Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
Listen up, fantasy football owners. If you want top quality, guaranteed authentic sports memorabilia, there's only one place to go. Prestige Sports Marketing. They offer autographed baseball and football jerseys, framed jerseys, helmets, bats, photos, and amazing artwork. They're 100% guaranteed authentic, so you can feel 100% confident. Check out Prestige Sports Marketing at PrestigeSportsMKTG.com. That's PrestigeSportsMKTG.com. Enter promo code ESPN and get 10% off.
Are you good at fantasy football? Are you used to winning your fantasy league? Now put your fantasy skills into the ultimate test by playing against the rest of the world with Fantasy Football Evolution. Draft your team and then manage it through a 10-week regular season, a 1-week elimination round, and finally, if you're good enough, a 64-team tournament that will determine the first ever Fantasy Football Evolution champion. The winner of Fantasy Football Evolution receives $25,000, cash prizes paid to the top 16 players. Visit www.nextgenffe.com for more details. The only way to know if you're the best is to play against the best. And welcome back to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN. Hey, I'm your host, Matt Lowry, and joining me are fantasy experts Henry Brick and Steve Wynn as we break down draft time for you, our listeners. Give us a call if you have any draft questions, keeper questions, dynasty questions, whatever you got going on. We'll be more than happy to help you out. The number here is 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. And we are breaking down our staff draft that we had last night. It is a standard scoring PPR league where you had to start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback, tight end, defense, flex, and kicker. So we are in the 7th round, and the first guy to go off was Fred Davis, tight end at Washington.
Yeah, this is a classic mistake that people make in fantasy drafts. He is drafting a guy to fill a lineup. He's got to start a tight end. You could have gotten Fred Davis 2 or 3 rounds later. Don't like the pick.
Too early.
Okay, and then Kevin Smith, Detroit running back, goes off with the 2nd pick of round 7.
Love the pick, but he is an injury problem, as we talked about earlier in the show.
Yeah.
All right, and then it came to you, Commish, with the 3rd pick of round 7, and who did you get?
Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Commish big props here. Reggie Wayne's a guy that I've been targeting and touting as a great pick late at a wide receiver. The kid's going to focus on Reggie Wayne. I think he's going to be the top performer out of that offense.
All right, and then you had the 4th pick of round 7, Professor. Who'd you take?
I took Tenarius Moore. Go ahead, Commish.
Well, once again, I talked about him a lot last year. I loved him, but muddy waters there with the receivers. You never know who the starter is going to be and who's the guy going to get the ball.
They've got some talented guys, and Darius Hayward-Bay goes the pick right after me. So this is another one where one of us is going to be right, one of us is going to be wrong, and somebody's going to be on the released list.
Yeah. Okay, and yep, that was the 5th pick of round 7, and then the 6th pick goes Robert Meacham, San Diego wide receiver.
This is a boring pick. Malcolm Floyd was the guy, and somebody's filling out a lineup here.
Okay, and then the 7th pick of round 7 went Rashard Jennings.
Love Jennings if MJD does not sign. However, it looks like they are getting closer. I think MJD wanted to rest the body during the preseason anyway. I think it was all part of the plan. So, Jennings may start the season, but he'll certainly be on the bench very quick.
All right, and then I had the 8th pick of round 7, and I decided to finally go ahead and take my quarterback, and I went with Tony Romo.
Okay, I hated this pick for a full 10 minutes, so if we can wait till your round 8 pick, you okay with that, Commish? Can we come back to Romo?
All right.
He's part of a package here.
Absolutely.
All right, and then Cedric Benson went off next, Green Bay running back at 9.
Value pick of the round.
I love this pick. I love Cedric Benson in Green Bay. I think that he's a guy who is getting picked too late. This is a little early for him, but you can get him later. But they haven't had a guy who can plow it up the middle, and Cedric Benson's going to be a revelation up in Green Bay.
Absolutely.
All right, and then Greg Little, Cleveland wide receiver, goes with the 10th pick of round 7. Commish?
Yeah, I think this was a great pick here. He's certainly anything but little, and I think we'll make a big splash with Cleveland this year.
All right, and then Stephen Ridley goes with the 11th pick of round 7.
Yeah, you know what? Except for Darren Sproles, you don't touch guys from the Saints backfield, you don't touch guys from the Washington backfield, and you don't touch guys from the Patriots backfield. Bill Belichick hates you.
All right, and then your man crush, Commish, goes with the 12th pick of round 7, Sean Green.
That's former man crush, okay, and with Tim Tebow there, that crush is over. We've ended it. It's a mutual thing. And
so is the restraining order? It's been released.
Has been lifted, and I think we're okay. We're in a better place.
All right, all right. Let's go to the phones. We got Dan on the line. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
I just want to see what you guys thought about my pick.
All right.
In the 7th round, I was the 10th pick in a 10-team league, and I went with Reggie Wayne, and then right back after, I went with Robert Meacham.
You know what? That's solid value. Just a few minutes ago, we talked about Reggie Wayne, third pick in the 7th round. You got him at the 10th. Very good. And Meacham also went in our 7th round, so getting him in the 8th, you definitely got a value.
And I think Reggie Wayne was really...
Also, I thought the commish, I think you're a big nerd. Good job, guys.
I think that's a compliment.
Friend of yours, commish.
If you go on our site and you check out kickassfantasyfootball.com and you look for the Commish's articles, that will prove you wrong because, Commish, how many do you got up there?
How many articles? Matt, I take care of all the projections. I got a lot of articles coming.
Right. And he does the stardom, sit-em stuff.
The trade articles.
I would have to say, Professor, you would be our resident nerd, right? You have all the articles with stats and numbers and all up there.
There's a reason they call me the professor.
That's all right. All right. So we have gotten through 7 rounds. Again, if you guys got any questions, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. And let's get into round 8 with the first pick going Jermaine Gresham, Cincinnati's tight end. What do we think of that?
You know what? This is 2 rounds. It start off with a tight end 2 times that somebody's filling a lineup sheet. You could have waited on Gresham a couple rounds, but you needed a tight end, so I can't really argue. There's guys he could have gotten that had a lot more value a few picks after.
All right, and then Ryan Williams, the Arizona running back, goes with the 2nd pick of round 8, Commish?
I mean, I'm not in love with it. I mean, Arizona's backfield is just horrible. Their offensive line's horrible. I'm staying away from any Arizona running back.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on this one, Commish. I like this pick, and you know, it makes up a little bit for the Beanie Wells pick earlier, but Ryan Williams is probably going to be the guy out there.
All right, and then with the 3rd pick of round 8, Titus Young, Detroit wide receiver.
Yeah, can Calvin Johnson catch every ball in Detroit? The answer is no. So Titus Young is the guy that's going to catch the rest of them. He's a good value.
Okay. And then Ben Tate, Houston running back, goes with the 4th pick of round 8.
I think this was a little too early to take Ben Tate. I think we could have waited on him another 2 or 3 rounds. Definitely a great handcuff, but he doesn't have Foster, so I'm scratching my head.
All right, and then I had the 5th pick of round 8, and after not being impressed with Tony Romo myself, but having to grab him, I went ahead and grabbed Robert Griffin III.
You know what? You I don't know if this was intentional or not, but you stumbled onto a great running or quarterback by committee. Tony Romo is solid. Robert Griffin has huge upside and a lot of great matchups. I think you might have, considering you don't have one of the top 5 quarterbacks, right, you might have one of the best tandems in the league.
Yeah, great number 2 quarterback here. Great pick.
Yeah, that was all by plan. Yeah, I had planned that all out from the beginning.
Nice.
All right, and then we go with the 6th pick of round 8. Went Ronnie Brown, San Diego running back.
Hate this pick. Yeah. Next,
I have a bad pick next to it.
Okay, and then Isaac Redman went with the 7th pick.
Hate this pick.
Yeah, I mean he's hurt. They activate Mendenhall to PvP. I don't like this pick.
Okay. Well, how about the 8th pick of round 8 with Bolden going?
You know what? Normally I'd say hate this pick and just keep the streak alive, but Bolden's actually a good pick early in the season. Their defensive schedule that they're playing, Joe Flacco come out of the gate strong. Torrey Smith and Anquan Bolden are the guys that are going to be catching them.
All right, and then, Professor, you had the 9th pick of round 8, and who'd you take?
I took Kenny Britt. Now, this guy is my first bench player in this draft, and for my first bench player being a guy who was top 5 at his position before he got injured last year, I'm feeling strong.
Well, awaiting a suspension, maybe released by the end of the month. Good place to have him, the bench.
Bench player. It's a lottery ticket.
Well, then, who did you have? Because you had the 10th pick of the 8th round there, Commish.
I think I had the value pick of this round, Matt, D'Angelo Williams. I think as a flex player, I think he's a good value here.
Professor, you're having a hard time keeping a straight face there.
I am laughing. The only reason that's the value pick of this round is because my guy is facing a suspension and possible termination. And there were so many picks that I hated in this round. But you could make an argument that he's the shiniest rotten apple in the bunch.
I agree.
All right. Well, out of these rotten apples, and surprised me that he fell this far, the 11th pick of round 8 was Roethlisberger.
Number 3 on the list of guys to avoid is your starting quarterback. He goes here in the 8th round, and he's not worth drafting in the 8th round.
Yeah, I mean, torn rotator cuff. Now they lost the offensive guard A lot of issues there.
Hold out at receiver, injuries,
running back
running back.
problems.
Everything smells bad in Pittsburgh, and not just the steel mills.
Okay, and with the last pick of the 8th round was Mike Williams, Tampa Bay.
He's going to be on the other side of Vincent Jackson. Maybe not a bad pick here in the 8th.
Yeah, you know what? As a bench receiver, not bad at all.
Yeah.
All right. And so we got through 8 rounds. We're about to go into the 9th. And if you guys got any questions about your draft, whether it's coming up or you want us to grade you and tell you how you did, or any keeper dynasty questions, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. And let's roll right into round 9. And I have to say, I was not at all happy with the first pick of the 9th round being a defense. What in the world? San Francisco goes off the board.
I'm gonna jump on this. It's round 9. Apparently, everybody looked at their sheet and said, it's time to draft the defense because 3 go off the board: San Francisco, Chicago, and Pittsburgh in this round.
Early.
Way too early. So we can, when we get to those, we can pretty much skip them.
All right. And then with the second pick of round 9, Pierre Thomas, running back with New Orleans.
Part of that muddy water backfield. I don't like the pick.
Okay. And then Nate Washington from Tennessee, wide receiver, goes with the 3rd pick of round 9. Professor,
I'm going to give the commish props here. Love this pick. He's a great play here.
All right. And then who was your pick with the 4th pick of round 9 there?
Well, I'm trying to compete with you for best tandem at quarterback. Because I've got the often injured Michael Vick as my number 1, I had to get a backup early, and I get Matt Schaub, who is my best backup on the board. So I am very happy.
And I agree with it. That's my notes next to Schaub. Nice backup. Could easily be a starter.
Okay. But again, not as great as my picks. And then, yes, we had another defense, Chicago, who goes off the board. We're not going to even talk about. You don't draft defenses in round 9.
You can make an argument for 12. 9's a little early.
Yes. And then with the 6th pick of round 9, Malcolm Floyd, San Diego wide receiver, goes off the board.
I don't like the I don't like the San Diego game this year. I really think they take a huge step backwards, and I'm avoiding them all.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he could stay healthy, he's decent, but I like the next pick a little bit better with Lance Moore. I think solid pick there at receiver.
Yeah, there's a school of thought that says Drew Brees is so pissed that he comes out of the gate and just shreds teams and scores 60 every week. If you think he comes out and starts just getting angry because he doesn't have any of his coaches or defenses, you can make an argument that everybody that touches a ball in New Orleans is worth owning this year.
Okay. And then I had the 8th pick of round 9, and I took Brandon Pettigrew, Detroit tight end.
Yeah, I hate this pick because I wanted him. So that's a good pick there.
All right. And then followed by Jason Witten with the 9th pick of round 9.
Did we mention he has a spleen issue?
Yeah.
You know what? No surgery. He will play if he's healthy by the start of the regular season, or maybe week 2 or 3. This is a good pick.
And then Pittsburgh's D went off. We're not going to talk about that. And then the 11th pick of round 9, Jay Cutler.
Great number 2. Great number 2.
Yeah, this is an upside-downside kind of guy. He is. He's got the possibility, if his offensive line can protect him, to be a great quarterback.
And then,
unfortunately, his offensive line doesn't protect him.
And then with the final pick of the 9th round, Justin Blackmon goes off the board.
Blaine Gabbert disease.
Blaine Gabbert.
Right. We like him as a wide receiver. Don't like the guy throwing the ball to him.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to the phones. We got Rob from Sicklerville on the phone. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
All right. Great. What's going on?
Hey, I'm in a standard at PPR 10-team league, and I'm really torn on after Calvin Johnson's off the board. Who was the clear-cut number 2 receiver? I have concerns. There's too good in Green Bay, too good in Atlanta. Cruz is unproven, and Fitz has no real good quarterback. Where are you guys thinking there?
Well, you've eliminated all the guys that I would have eliminated. It's Andre Johnson or Julio Jones.
Yeah, I really like Roddy White myself. Brandon Marshall should be up there for consideration.
But can you argue with Andre Johnson?
You guys, nobody really has. You guys all have a different person. It seems like, right?
Yeah. I mean, after Calvin Johnson, you have a couple of them that are kind of bundled there together, and that could be the number 2 spot.
And if you were listening early, we had a little discussion about Calvin Johnson getting taken number 2 overall, and I said there's one great wide receiver, and then there's a passel of guys that are pretty good. It depends on what your risk tolerance is.
Now, let me ask you guys, because like he said, you like Julio Jones and Kamish, you like Roddy White. Andre Johnson, isn't he a clear only guy there?
Injury risk.
Injury risk. That's the problem. He's already been injured in the preseason, so I think I have Roddy White over him, even Julio Jones over him.
Everybody's got a question mark, which is why if I don't have Calvin Johnson, I'm waiting quite a few rounds before I'm taking a bunch of my receivers.
So I think the consensus on quarterback is after the big four, which would be Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, and the guy from Carolina. Well, I can't think of his name.
Cam Newton.
Matt Stafford.
After that, that's where the big drop-off starts, or
no,
you it's somebody to get after there?
After Matt Stafford, the drop-off comes.
Right. I almost forgot him. So those two in the first 2 rounds, then after that, wait a while?
Yeah, there's some upside guys that you can get there, but you can wait. I got Michael Vick in the, 6th round? I was very happy.
Yeah, I was surprised he was so late. So I guess if I don't get one of the big five, just move on and wait.
That's the play.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
all right. Thanks for the call. And if you guys got any questions out there, give us a call 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, Professor, we've gotten through 9 rounds. How's everybody looking? What are you thinking?
There are some teams that look very strong. Like I said, Matt, you've somehow drafted a really strong team. That's about as backhanded a compliment as I can give you. We're into the part of the draft now where you've got most of your, if not all of your starting positions at the skill positions covered. So defense and kicker, you wait. This is where you start making or breaking your team. You get some undervalued guys, some lottery tickets, and take it to the bank.
All right, yeah, because let's face it, if you're going into the 10th round and you don't have all your starters,
well, you might have gotten 4 running backs and still need a last receiver.
All
and
right.
There's some good ones out there.
All right, so we start off with the 10th round. With the first pick, Josh Freeman goes off the board.
Solid backup. Got some upside.
Yeah, good pick here.
All right, and then the second pick of round 10, Mendenhall goes off the board.
I mean, he's hurt. You may not see this guy till week 6.
Yeah, but
7.
you know what? When he's healthy, he could be a very solid guy, a guy who was arguably a first-rounder last year, so could be a value.
And now this third pick of round 10, this really makes me mad because we don't talk about kickers on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. And somebody took a kicker with the third pick of round 10.
And just like last round, there were 3 defenses. This round, there's 3 kickers. Makes my hair hurt, frankly, to see
remember,
a kicker go this early.
Kickers aren't football players, man.
Janikowski's injury came before or after this guy was probably prepared for this draft.
Yes.
But it still doesn't defend taking a kicker here.
All right, and then Santonio Holmes, New York Jets wide receiver, goes with the 4th pick of round 10.
I hate the entire situation in New York for the Jets. Wouldn't touch him.
All right, and then I had the 5th pick of round 10. I was pretty happy that this guy fell to me, David Wilson from the New York Giants.
Love this pick, Matt. I wanted him in this round.
He would not have made it to you because I was taking him with my pick.
Yeah, he's. I think he definitely is going to take the role of Ahmad Bradshaw at some point. Great spot here.
I'm happy to know that I screwed both of you guys over.
Yeah.
With the 6th pick of round 10, Jared Cook goes off the board.
Another guy probably filling out a lineup. Cook is a solid tight end. Not too much to say there.
And then with the 7th pick of round 10, someone takes Philadelphia D. We're not going to talk about that.
Too early. You know what? Too early, but I've got them ranked as the number 1 overall. This guy got him as the 4th taken, so there's something to be said, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. And then with the 8th pick of round 10, someone took David Akers.
Next.
And then Randall Cobb with the 9th pick.
Love this pick, Professor.
Okay.
I'm giving you high props here.
Professor.
I think if you didn't take him there, I was taking him with the next pick. So
you know what? This guy plays behind Jordy Nelson and Greg Jennings. If you think that Randall Cobb is not going to see a lot of the field and maybe even start as one of the 2 wideouts, plus he plays every game in the slot. There were weeks last year where he had huge games, so a lot of upside. Love him.
Okay, and then Kamish, you had the 10th pick of round 10.
Yeah, well, with my lottery ticket, Jack was Rodgers. I think eventually he, like you talked about earlier, he'll take the role over with Michael Turner, and I think it's a decent spot to take him.
Yeah, I agree. I like that pick a lot, and if Cobb wasn't there for me, that's who I was taking. So good stuff.
All right, and then the 11th pick of round 10, C.J. Spiller goes off the board.
You know what? If I needed a running back, I'd have taken C.J. Spiller. I think that he takes that job eventually. He was great in relief last year. I didn't need him.
Yep.
Okay, and then Mason Crosby. We're not talking about kickers with the 12th pick. So we've gotten through 10 rounds. We're going into round 11, and with the first pick, Evan Royster.
Washington running back. There will be 3 weeks where everybody will pick up Evan Royster off of waivers because Shanahan decided to use him, and then the following week he will suck.
Yeah, and by the way, 2 Washington running backs taken in this round. Really?
Yeah, that's not. Do they not watch Washington and how they play? Okay, with the second pick of round 11, Tony Gonzalez.
Great value pick here, I think. Waiting to the 11th to get Gonzalez, I think that was great.
Yeah, I'd have taken him in the previous round. You guys may remember during the draft I said, "Whoops, I made a mistake."
Yes,
that was the mistake. I wanted to take him there. I thought the Cobb would have been there for the following round.
Look at my mistakes next. Taking LeGarrette Blount, Professor. Probably, with Michael Bush still on the board. That's the guy, and Mark Ingram still on the board. I probably should have went there. So my big mistake of the draft in the 11th, taking LeGarrette Blount.
All right, and then you had the 4th pick of round 11. Professor, who'd you take?
Now, here's a guy filling out a lineup. I had to take a tight end because the league requires them.
Yes. And you went with Brent Selleck.
Brent Selleck, solid play. Nothing too exciting.
Absolutely.
All right, and then Mark Ingram, running back from New Orleans, goes off with the 5th pick of round 11.
Yeah, he's poised to have a decent year this year. Once again, it's just so many running backs, and there's only one football, so it makes it difficult.
Okay, and then Michael Bush from Chicago's running back goes off with the 6th pick of round 11.
This guy was great in relief of Darren McFadden last year, and you have to think that they're going to use him heavily in Chicago to keep Matt Forte's legs fresh. So
yeah, I think you'll see him a lot at the goal line and be a touchdown vulture this year.
And I do have to say, with that pick, I was hoping he'd fall 2 more spots. He's who I had my eyes on, and it didn't happen. Then after him, Green Bay's defense. We're not going to talk about that. And then with the 8th pick of round 11, I went with Sidney Rice, and largely because I had my eyes on Michael Bush, and when that didn't happen, it kind of threw my game plan off.
Yeah, Rice is not a terrible play, but surgically reconstructed everything, so a little risk.
I'm not expecting to really play him. I really thought Bush was going to fall to me. I was all ready to click the button, and then I was denied. But with the 9th pick of round 11, Jacob Tamme goes off the board. And Commissioner, you've liked him.
Like this pick a lot, really do. I think they already have him and Peyton Manning already have a chemistry from 2 years ago with the Colts. So I think Tamme can end up giving you top 10 tight end production this year.
And then the 10th pick of round 11, Toby Gerhart goes off the board.
It's a nice lottery ticket if you don't think Peterson's going to get a lot of playing time until midseason. So not a bad pick.
All right, and then Owen Daniels, the Houston tight end, goes off with the 11th pick of round 11.
Yeah, this is kind of the back end of the tight ends getting run on here. Yep. There's another one at the top of the next round, so people filling out their lineup that have waited a while.
And not a bad time to wait.
Not a bad spot. Daniels was not a bad play. Really, all 4 tight ends that went in round 11 were solid. If you did not get one of the 2 big guys, you could wait this long and get decent production.
Okay, and then with the last pick of round 11, Roy Halou. Who is drafting Washington running backs?
Apparently, Washington fans.
Yeah.
All right, so we got through 11 rounds. Hey, we got just a few minutes left. We're going to whip through the last few rounds, but if you got any last-minute questions, you can give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. If your draft's coming up or you need us to give you a grade on how you did, give us a call. Again, 609-573-3776. All right, we're going into round 12. First pick, Heath Miller.
Solid. Next.
All right. Kendall Wright went with the second pick of round 12.
Value pick of the round. Love Kendall Wright. I think with Kenny Britt up in the air, what's going to happen with him, he's a solid pick here in the 12th.
Yeah, there's a couple other good picks in this round, but that's a great pick.
All right, and then the third pick, Andrew Luck, goes off the board.
And that would be one of those good picks in this round. I like Andrew Luck as a backup.
Yeah, I thought that was a great place to get him if you get him in the 12th round. And then Carson Palmer, Oakland quarterback, goes off with the next pick.
Decent number 2 pick. You're in a great spot to get him.
Okay. And then we follow that up with Michael Crabtree, as who I took with the 5th pick of round 12. There was a time when, wasn't he supposed to be the man?
He is a fast man. That's all I have to say about him. He does not produce. I like him every year. He lets me down.
Yes, I figured it's the 12th round. He's on my bench. And if he, there was a time when we all talked about Crabtree supposed to be something. So I'm gambling on maybe at some point this year. And then we have Steph with kicker.
We got kicker. Next.
Kicker. You don't take kickers in the 12th round.
No, you can make an argument.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Kickers are not football players. All right, and then we go to Jake Locker.
Jake the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, I like Jake Locker here. I mean, he's named the starter, and I think a great spot to pick as your number 2.
Good upside quarterback in your number 2 spot, especially for Evan, who's got Aaron Rodgers, if I remember correctly. So very solid.
And then Professor, the 12th round,
Mortal
and
sin.
the 9th
Mortal
pick.
sin.
What did you do?
Not a mortal sin, because I have lottery tickets that I know are going to be there in the 15th and 16th round, so I can go out there and get the defense of my choice in this round.
And who was that?
It was the Baltimore Ravens.
You sure you didn't want the Eagles here? Because
the Eagles are gone.
You already had 3 Eagles picked, I figured.
All right. And who did you follow him up with the 10th pick of round 12?
I was my backup tight end with Kobe Fleener. I love this guy, 6'6", 250. Already has a great rapport playing with Stafford. Playing with Luck at Stanford. I think he's a great spot to take him in the 12th.
Yep, I agree with you there. And then with the 11th pick of round 12, Isaiah Peed.
Here's a guy, first show of the year, way back in July. I threw out Isaiah Peed, and I think we got a couple comments. I love this pick. If Steven Jackson doesn't hold up, everybody knows Jeff Fisher produces great running backs. So Isaiah Peed could be a great lottery ticket.
All right, and then with the final pick of round 12, LaShore, Detroit running back, goes off the board.
Yeah, I mean, he's facing the 2-game suspension, but Kevin Smith already hurt.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick here in the
Kevin
12th.
Smith already hurt. Javid Best concussed. What's the other one? Bell is more of a fullback. So this is not a bad pick.
All right, and then with the first pick of round 13, Greg Olson goes off.
Hey, tight end.
Yeah. Felix Jones goes next with the second pick.
I mean, I think good pick, a lot of upside. I think Murray ends up getting hurt at some point, and then Felix will get in and he'll get hurt.
All right, and then
I get no excitement for that pick.
All right, and then Commish, who did you take with the third pick of round 13?
Backup quarterback Andy Dalton. I thought that was not a bad pick in the 13th round.
Yeah, no, not bad for your backup in that late in it. And then you had the fourth pick of the 13th round.
And this is one of my Who's that? Alshon Jeffrey. He is the number 2 wide receiver in Chicago. I've mentioned a couple times through this draft, I think Chicago's offense is rejuvenated this year. He is on the other side from Brandon Marshall, and I think he gets some surprising production.
Okay, and then with the fifth pick of round 13, Shane Vereen from New England goes. And what did you say, Professor?
No Patriots, no Redskins, no Saints running backs.
Because if you are a running back in New England,
Bill Belichick hates you.
Bill Belichick hates you. All right, with the sixth pick of round 13, Santana Moss goes off the board.
I mean, isn't he 40 or 50 years old? But guess what? He's still catching touchdowns. He caught one last night from RG3. Not a bad pick in the 13th. Probably, a good bye-week replacement wide receiver.
Okay, and then with the seventh pick of round 13, Ronnie Hillman, Denver running back.
My favorite pick of this round, aside from my own, Ronnie Hillman is picked to be the future, and I would not be surprised to see him producing heavily in the back end of the season in the playoffs.
Yes, this was another one that I got screwed one pick before I went because he was who I had my eyes on. But he was gone, so I went with Detroit running back Javid Best.
Yes, who will be definitely sitting on the sideline with the concussion.
Yes,
yeah,
I felt concussed trying to answer that question.
All right, and then Randy Moss goes off with the ninth pick of round 13. I guess it's a lottery ticket.
I think he got a senior citizen card in the mail, so it's good he could be there for the big discounts and stuff as he goes into stores.
All right, and then Dustin Keller goes off with the 10th pick of round 13.
You know what? I actually had Keller as a higher ranked tight end, so this is a decent pick for a backup. I don't take backup tight ends, though. So.
And I'll give you that Randy Moss comment. That was pretty bad. Yeah. you need to prepare more. All right, then John Baldwin goes off, Kansas City wide receiver.
A decent pick here. He plays on the other side of Dwayne Bowe. I like him.
Yeah, it's a decent pick if they throw the ball once in a while. That is not a throwing team.
Yeah. And then with the final pick around 13, James Starks goes off.
Cedric Benson is the superhero up in Green Bay. You couldn't pay me to touch the other guys in Green Bay at running back.
All right. And then round 14, we had Doug Baldwin, Seattle wide receiver.
That's actually a solid pick, Kamish.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's not a bad pick. I mean, we're here in the 14th round. Doug Baldwin's still there. I'd pick him up, too.
All right, and then we had Joe Flacco go off the board. Now, that's no respect for Joe Flacco, is it, to go in the second pick of the 14th round?
You know, I mentioned earlier with Torrey Smith, Baltimore's early season schedule is very easy, so he could be traded away. You could see some good production out of him early, but he's not an all-season player.
All right, and then Austin Collie, Indianapolis wide receiver, goes with the third pick around 14.
Yeah, he'll be sitting there with Javid Best with a concussion watching football.
Okay, Montario Hardesty goes off, Cleveland running back.
Maybe some value as a lottery ticket handcuff, but not really.
All right, and then with the fifth pick around 14, I went with Devon Best.
Did you fall asleep and your auto pick really? Take over for you? Javid Best and Davon Best, were you picking alphabetically?
Well, what I said was, doesn't he have to throw the ball to somebody?
Yeah.
Doesn't who have to throw the ball to somebody?
That's a good question. Someone has to catch a ball. Somebody has to catch a ball down there. So I figured, whatever. All right, Ryan Fitzpatrick goes off the board next with the sixth pick.
It's solid backup.
Yeah. And then Kyle Rudolph, Minnesota tight end.
Great pick here in the 14th. Could easily be a starter at the tight end position. I don't know if you picked him as number 1 or 2 or what.
Okay, and then Danny Amendola goes with the 8th pick around 14.
It's tough to like any Rams receivers, but he's the one to like.
All right, and then Professor, you've been touting this guy for a while. 9th pick around 14. Who'd you take?
Took Leonard Hankerson. He is the big target in Washington. We took some shots at Santana Moss last round. Well, you know what? If Santana Moss does start going to the early bird special over at the Old Country Buffet, it is probably Leonard Hankerson who will be the star down there. If RG3 is anything like Cam Newton, you can make an argument that Leonard Hankerson is his Steve Smith.
Okay, wow. All right. And then with the 10th pick around 14, it was up to you, Commish. Who'd you take?
Oh, with Jerome Simpson. I like what I've been seeing in preseason. He does have a 2-game suspension looming over his head, but I think once he comes back, he'll be a legit part of that offense.
Yeah, and we've mentioned Christian Ponder is actually looking like an NFL quarterback in the preseason. That's not a bad pick at all.
Yeah.
All right. And then Houston D goes off the board. And finally, Nate Burleson with the 12th pick of round 14.
Third receiver in a explosive offense is not a bad value play.
All right, and then we'll just whip through round 15 and 16 real quick. Alex Smith goes off.
Backup quarterback.
New York Giants, Atlanta.
Defense.
Professor, who did you do? You didn't have, because you already did your defense.
I already did my defense. I took my kicker in 15 around early. I got Jason Hansen, explosive offense.
And we don't talk about kickers on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show.
Dome guy, great offense.
Martellus Bennett goes off the tight end with the 5th pick.
Backup.
Yep, and then defense, and then Laurent Robinson goes off in the 7th pick of round 15.
Yeah,
Blaine Gabbert disease.
That's the problem. I mean, great receiver, wrong team. Blaine Gabbert, forget it.
All right, and then we end up with the rest of the defenses and kickers going, and again, we don't talk kickers on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football
We had
Show.
one odd pick in there, though. Alex Green, Green Bay running back, unheralded player, not somebody that we've talked about in this preseason, and with the addition of Cedric Benson, I think that's a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, big reach here. Shouldn't be on the team long.
All right, and so then we finished up with our defenses and kickers, and I have to ask you guys, so we've gotten through all 16 rounds.
Well, you know what? There are 2 players in that last round that are not defenses or kickers.
Well, that means somebody made a mistake.
No, it means somebody had a deep sleeper.
Okay. All right,
Vince in the 6th spot took Christian Ponder, who we've been saying has had a great preseason. And the Professor, with the 4th to last pick in the draft, took
Russell Wilson.
Russell, the human endorsement machine Wilson.
Yep.
He has looked fantastic in the preseason. He's playing in a Pete Carroll offense. If he gets his head together, he is a lottery ticket.
All right, so we've been on for 2 hours. We've covered the entire draft. I got to ask you guys, who do you think won this draft? Give me the rundown of who you thought won.
We got one of our interns, Evan.
Evan Ostro did a great job. You could hear him on Thursday nights on our Blog Talk radio show. I mean, he's got Rodgers, Gronkowski, Cruz, Fred Jackson. We didn't talk about Peyton Hillis even picked up along with Reggie Bush. I mean, great picks here.
Yeah, that team's got a lot of superstars and a lot of depth. You really can't argue that that's the A+ team.
Yeah.
Pair of A's. I won't grade myself. I think I got an A, but JB and Matt with the other two A teams in my estimation.
Professor, you're on my good. You're not often on my good side, but I'm telling you right now.
Commish, a solid B plus. A couple guys that went a few picks earlier than I liked them, but a solid deep team. A couple great sleepers, and LeGarrette Blount, which I will torture you for at least a few weeks.
Commish?
Yeah, I mean,
who stood out for you?
I'll tell you a couple teams that stood out for me that didn't maybe do enough. Barroom Brawlers with who had a great start with Drew Brees. The rest of the way, just not enough depth, not enough power at elite positions. Green Machine with Bruce needs to work the waiver wire a bit to shape this team, and that's the great thing about these leagues that we're in. As you know, Matt, I love to trade. You do your draft for that first week, and then you got to start shaping that team. You got to start looking for trades. Hey, you got to help yourself, help the other team to make it the right trade. But a lot of these guys need some work.
I will say I thought the Professor had a better draft than you, Commish, but I do have to give you. You are the trade master. He can strip a team down so fast, and by the end of the season, it will look nothing like the team he drafted, so it really doesn't matter. You can give him any draft you want. He'll make up for it in the trades.
He will. It's disgusting, really.
But, more importantly, I think I had a better draft than both of you. And so, who should be the real expert on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show?
We call you the Fantasy Insider for a reason.
I won't tell you that I had your cheat sheets up the entire time, Professor, while I was drafting.
You're welcome.
All right, well, I want to thank everyone for listening this week to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I want to thank our fantasy experts Henry Brick and Steve Wynn, and our Kick-Ass producer Scott Ewing for joining me. Join us here on 97.3 ESPN every Sunday at 9 a.m. all season long as we help guide you to a championship in your fantasy league. Also, check out our internet shows on Blog Talk Radio, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and Thursdays at 7. You can find all the details on our website, kickassfantasyfootball.com. Remember, if you aren't playing fantasy football, you're probably spending too much time eating fondue.